What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So one of the most important factors in the entirety of the Pokemon franchise are the types of the Pokemon themselves. Not only do they have a big influence on what types of Pokemon we decide to add to our teams, but choosing the right types is crucially important for competitive play, and the type system is the very foundation of Pokemon gameplay itself. Besides being a game mechanic though, these types also influence the designs of the Pokemon themselves, and there are tons of different combinations that can be made with the 18 types that are present in the game. So much so in fact that even after 7 generations and over 800 Pokemon, there are still several combinations that haven't even been used yet, and some of them are flat out amazing and could inspire some phenomenal Pokemon. So in this video I'm going to give you guys my top 5 Pokemon type combos that haven't been used yet as of Generation 7 of course. The reason I personally want these type combos is simply because I think they'd be awesome, but I'll go over all the details in the video, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I gotta be honest, my original pick here was for a Dragon Fairy type, but then I remembered that that type has technically already been used by Mega Altaria. Thanks a lot, you dumb cloud bird. So with that being said, I decided to go with Dark Fairy for this spot instead. With Fairy probably being the closest to a light type that we're ever gonna get, this is kinda sorta like a dark light type, which is actually pretty cool. Obviously the fairy types are all bubbly and happy and a lot of times pink, while the dark type is literally known as the evil type in Japanese, so this would certainly make for a very interesting Pokemon design, and that's exactly what I would be looking for with this type combination. While yes, I'm sure that Dark Fairy would be a pretty good type competitively, I would be more interested in seeing the design itself of a Pokemon with this typing, because as I said, the opposite dynamic would certainly make for an awesome Pokemon. In Gen 7 we got something similar in Mimikyu with a Ghost Fairy typing, and that turned out awesome, and I know that Dark Fairy would be just as good, if not better. My next pick at number 4 is going to be the Fire Grass type. This was a typing that a lot of people were hopeful for in Sun and Moon, with Alola being based on Hawaii, and a Tiki Pokemon making a lot of sense. However, that might have been a bit too obvious because we didn't get a Tiki Pokemon and we didn't get a Grass Fire typing, but it would still be amazing to have one down the road. The cool thing about a Grass Fire typing is that it brings two opposites together, which could provide for a very interesting and creative Pokemon, especially considering that Game Freak probably wouldn't go the predictable route of making, let's say, a Tiki Pokemon or a Pepper Pokemon. Additionally, putting these two types together helps to cover some of their weaknesses, and of the primary types of water, grass, and fire, Grass Fire is the only combination of the three that hasn't happened yet, and I think it's about time we see one happen soon. Now number 3 is kind of like the curveball of this list, but I think it would make for such a cool Pokemon, and that's the Ice Poison type. The two picks before this kind of made sense as to why you'd put them together, because they were opposites, and opposites tend to attract. However, when it comes to Ice Poison, it seems like they're just two random types, just randomly thrown together, but that's why I love it. I can't really imagine what an Ice Poison type would look like, but it's just such a dynamic type combination that I had to put it on the list. And while Ice does get the short end of the stick competitively, Poison would at least provide it with a few more resistances, and it would even take away its weakness to fighting. I honestly don't know exactly how it would work, but I do know that it needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. At the number 2 spot, we're heading back to the opposite type combinations with Ghost and Normal. Obviously, Ghost is probably the single most interesting type in Pokemon, and pairing it up with one of its opposites in Normal just makes things that much more interesting. Honestly, Ghost and Normal are actually the most opposite types out there because they are unaffected by each other, and competitively it's an excellent combination because Ghost completely takes away Normal's only weakness in fighting, and if I'm not mistaken, Normal would also completely take away Ghost's weakness to itself. So not only would this typing make for an extremely interesting design Pokemon, it would also make for an amazing competitive type combination, and I think it's one that should be a must-have for Game Freak moving forward. For the number 1 spot, we continue our trend of opposite typings coming together with what I believe is the coolest unused typing, Ice Fire. Ice and fire are quite literally polar opposites, but I believe it could provide for an insanely amazing Pokemon design if it is ever used. I know we got a water fire type in Volcanion in Generation 6, but the ice fire type just seems a bit more dynamic in my opinion, and dare I say could result in a Pokemon even cooler than the already very cool Volcanion. Ice might just be my favorite single type, but it's also the one that gets completely screwed over. I mean, it has a myriad of weaknesses and its only resistance is ice itself. I mean, it doesn't even get resistances to grass or bug, and I feel like those are obvious resistances it should have. So with that being said, the ice type definitely needs some love, and if they're not going to even out its strengths and weaknesses, a sick type combination like ice and fire is the perfect way to do so. On top of that, adding the fire type does actually give the ice type a few much more needed resistances, which is the cherry on top to what I believe is the coolest unused Pokemon type combination. And there we have it. Those are the coolest unused Pokemon type combinations in my own personal opinion. Everyone has their own favorite types though, so if there are any other unused type combos you'd like to see, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Also, as always, make sure you give the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more Pokemon content every week, and until the next one, as always, I will smell you guys later.